Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Channel F crapshoot. Probably not going to get to every question today. There'll probably have to be a third part, but I'm going to answer as many as I can. First question comes from Magnum Sean Bateman. He asks, what is my favorite 80s B movie that is not the Evil Dead franchise? Well, even the Evil Dead exclusion is not necessary for this question. I enjoy the Evil Dead franchise, but not as much as some do, so that would not have been my favorite, even taking that into account. But my favorite 80s B movie excluding Evil Dead, Trancers, I would have to say. Charles Band film. B movie has a little bit of Terminator in it. Future cop Jack Death, spelled D-E-T-H, goes back in time to prevent the evil Whistler from eliminating several ancestors of the present council members of the city of Los Angeles. Good movie. Good B movie. Helen Hunt is in it as the girl. Tim Thomerson, or is it Tom Thomerson? I forget. He's excellent in the role of Jack Death. An excellent B movie character. There are 5 sequels to it, although Jack Death is not really in the 6th one. Well, I mean, he is, but he's played by a woman. Long story in that. But Trancers, excellent B movie. I'd recommend checking it out. Very fun. Helen Hunt is good in it. Jack Death. You can't get much of a cooler B movie name than Jack Death, right? So I would recommend checking the sequels out as well. Maybe if you can find that box set on the cheap. Definitely worth checking out. Awesomeoff asks, what is the entirety of Graham's number? Frankly, I find pretty much all of Ramsey theory to be a bunch of liberal bullshit, so that's my answer to that. Fan of Stuff asks, do you believe in a thing called love? Yes, I do. I see numerous couples in love every day. I don't have anybody, but they do. So certainly it does exist for some, if not all of us. He then asks, if you could fall into the sky, do you think time would pass you by? Those are very lovely lyrics from Vanessa Carlton. A lovely dark-haired songstress, not entirely unlike Michelle Branch. Michelle Branch will be playing at a local venue this weekend. I'm trying to find somebody to go with me to see that. I'm not under the delusion or anything that, if we happen to make eye contact or anything, that she would ask for that foot massage that I, in my previous crapshoot, stated that I would like to give her. I'm not suffering from delusional psychosis or anything, but it could happen. It could, and I would hate to miss out on probably my one chance to do that. So I would like to go to that concert. Fan of Stuff then says, I will remember you, will you remember me, and do you think I have shitty taste in music? No, I don't. I'm a big fan of Sarah McLachlan also. I think doing Vanessa Carlton and Michelle Branch while Sarah McLachlan films it, I think she'd be up for that. I do. You could even make one of those sad puppy commercials afterwards, too, and do some good for the abused and neglected animals out there, of which there are many. Adam Clark asks, favorite video game franchise? Well, I would probably have to say the Suikoden franchise, or however you say it, Suikoden. I don't know, it's spelled S-U-I-K-O-D-E-N. It's been dormant. The main series has been dormant for about a decade now. The last release was on the PlayStation 2. There are a series of Japanese-style role-playing games, 5 of them. I think it's a great series. You recruit 108 different characters banding together to take out the antagonists of each game. You build an entire army. You have a headquarters that houses all of the 108 Stars of Destiny as they band together. That's cool. You can always walk around and explore and play various mini games and fun things in the headquarters in between missions. If there was, it would certainly be the first thing that comes to mind when I think about what I would like to see another game of as far as dormancy goes. I would love for them to bring it back. The third game kind of established an arch villain for the series. They never really followed that up too much in the next 2, but great storyline, great universe, great world building. I really like it. I would love to see it come back. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a great series. I know you can buy the first 2 games on the PSN network now if you live in North America, I think, although the the CD games themselves go for very high prices on eBay, but I think you can download them off PSN. I'd recommend any fan of JRPGs to do so. It's a great series. Very, very unique, too. He then asks, favorite video game, period. It's a hard question to answer. You're taking in nostalgia into account. An NES game is difficult to compare to a modern PS4 game. Favorite of all time, though, something that I could play anytime. It would always be fun to beat and play through again. Probably Mega Man 2 for the NES. Everybody thinks fondly of Dr. Wily Stage 1 theme music. Rightly so, but it's a great game. Probably the best crew of robot masters of any one game. It's also the game that set the standard for the franchise. The first game had the 6 bosses. Mega Man 2 was the first one to have 8, which is now the standard. A great game. Probably my favorite game of all time. I'd always be in the mood to play it. Just a great game, a great series. Sadly, it's largely been neglected these past few years, but it's a great game. One of the best. Worst video game you ever played? I think I talked a little bit about some quasi games like Crisscross Make My Video in my last crap shoot. Certainly the most recent worst game I've played would have to be Resident Evil 6. It's the only main series game of Resident Evil, mainline series game that I have not played to completion. I've only played through 5 once. I was not a fan of 5 at all. I think having a forced partner through the entire game kind of, by and large, ruins the experience. I also didn't like the emphasis on action. 6 basically took everything that was wrong with 5 and doubled down on it. I remember when you start playing the game as Leon, you're dragging some woman's sorry ass through a bunch of quick time events, breaking boards down, trying to get her to safety, and it was boring the hell out of me. I tried the other chapters. I hated all of them too. I haven't played 7 yet. I'm kind of waiting for the inevitable Game of the Year edition release of that. If they don't make one, I'll just have to pick it up when it's on the cheap. I've heard it's kind of go back to the horror roots. That's a good thing. But could not get through 6 at all. Every chapter that I played just did nothing for me at all. And I'm a big fan of the franchise. So I would have to say Resident Evil 6 to that. Also, those movies are terrible, and Mila J and her husband, they suck. I just thought I'd throw that in. Adam then asks, favorite NES game? Well, Mega Man 2, we've covered that. Favorite SNES game? Well, Final Fantasy 2, 3, Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger. Those are all outstanding games, but I think Shadowrun for the SNES stands above them. It's a very unique RPG. It's not a JRPG, really, more of a Western feel to it, based on a cyberpunk fantasy role-playing game from the FESA Corporation. Great music, great atmosphere, future, sci-fi, low-tech, low-life, cyberpunk stuff. That's a great game, definitely worth playing if you have never played it before. Very unique. There isn't really anything else on the SNES quite like it. I'd strongly suggest checking that out. Favorite N64 game? GoldenEye 007. I'm not a shooter fan at all, but I really like that game. Whenever I still have my N64. Whenever I play something, it's usually GoldenEye 007. I like using the two silver handguns, one in each hand, just blowing people away. Stalking through the nuclear facility, and then the bunker. Those are my 2 favorite levels. I just love gunning people down en masse in that game. Like I said, not a shooter fan. Haven't played Halo, Mass Effect, or any of that stuff. Call of Duty, not my cup of tea. But GoldenEye was an awesome game. You've probably all played that, but that's good though. It deserves to be played. Favorite GameCube game? Resident Evil 4 was originally a GameCube exclusive. That is an awesome Resident Evil game. It's very different from all of the games that came before, but it's an excellent game. I do enjoy, I think kind of for the first time, Leon met Ada in Resident Evil 2, and he wanted her to have heel face turn in that game, but she didn't really come through at the end. 4 kind of established the ongoing joke of Leon never getting any, and that kind of just being the story of his life. I can relate to that. I'm not nearly as cool or sexy as Leon is, but having a guy who doesn't get the girl all the time, he kind of makes him a bit of an everyman, and I really like Leon quite a bit. It's a great game. Final boss fight was a little disappointing, but nothing is perfect. Fantastic game. Definitely play it if you haven't. Favorite Wii game? Probably Wii Resort. I like playing the American Gladiator style joust game where you're fighting with little swords on the pedestals. That's very addicting. I love that game. It's been a while since I played it, but it's always a lot of fun. He then asks, favorite handheld Nintendo game, if any handheld system. Probably the DS remake, enhanced port, I guess you should say. Final Fantasy IV. Final Fantasy IV Advance, I think they call it. That's a great game. It's a port of a classic game. It also adds a few dungeons at the end. You can now recruit. You're no longer stuck with Cecil, Kane, Rosa, Rydia, and Edge at the end. I mean, those are really the characters you should use, unless you could include Golbez and Fusoya in that game, and you can't. You still can't do that, but you can have Palamporum and all the others. Join your party at the end to fight Zermus. That's pretty cool. Also, there's an epilogue of sorts. Each character gets a playable chapter at the end that expands on their characterization and whatnot. I thought that was pretty cool. Much better than the enhanced dungeons, the extra dungeons in Final Fantasy VI Advance, which I didn't really think added anything other than a few overpowered super weapons. But once you clear those dungeons, there's really no more point in obtaining anything more powerful because you've already waded through everything. So I would say Final Fantasy IV Advance, a great game, great port of a legendary existing title. I don't know if it's my favorite Final Fantasy, but certainly would be up there. What's your opinion of WWE wrestler Bayley? This is still Adam Clark 52. I like Bayley quite a bit. She's been a victim of bad booking, certainly, but I think she's a very attractive woman, more attractive than Alexa Bliss. That's not a popular opinion, but that's me. I like her quite a bit. I think she has potential. She's being held down by bad writing, bad booking. Few people will really disagree with that. I like her quite a bit. I like to see her used better, but I don't watch WWE every week. I just see clips here and there, mostly of the women for obvious reasons. But I think she has potential. I think they need to do better with her, though. I wish her well. I hope I hope she can become as popular as she should be someday. Who's the most overrated talent in WWE today? I think Alexa Bliss's ass is probably the most overrated. Bayley has a better ass than Alexa Bliss. Naomi has a better ass than Alexa Bliss. Naomi probably has a better ass than anybody, in my opinion. Now, I like Bliss as a whole. I like Bliss's ass. But sheer overratedness, probably that one. But like I said, I don't really watch the mainline programs much, aside from clips here and there on YouTube, highlights, the particularly atrocious booking. So I'm not an authority on the subject, but I would say Alexa Bliss's ass would be my answer to that question. Does Roman stand a chance of truly becoming the guy? I think he could. If you just take a look at him, he certainly looks like a top guy. But for that to happen, it's not going to be on the terms any of us want. It will only be on Vince's terms, and I think that pretty much dooms the guy to failure because Vince doesn't have a clue anymore of how to handle him or much of anything anymore. So he will not, through no fault of his own. Thune asks, favorite Dead or Alive game? Favorite Dead or Alive game? Any of them before they started reducing the breast sizes are great. I'm a Tekken man, Mortal Kombat man, Tekken and MK. I haven't played a whole lot of the Dead or Alive games. I appreciate the jiggle physics and whatnot. I think that's how we got that phrase entered into our lexicon as jiggle physics. It comes from Dead or Alive, I believe. So I appreciate what they're doing in Spirit. It's just never been my fighting game of choice. I like the purple-haired ninja girl, Ain, is that her name? Probably whatever game she was first introduced in. I like purple-haired women. It's a girl at my work who used to have purple hair. She doesn't have it anymore. often think about maybe asking her to diet again, but I don't know, that might wear her out more so than my staring at her ass probably already does. Might not be a good idea. The barber asks, if they made a movie out of the video game Super Metroid, who would you have star in the movie, and why did you cast me, the barber, as one of the scientists that dies at the beginning of the intro? Well, you probably get a nice payday there. You die at the beginning, you wouldn't have to do a whole lot. And a good on-screen death, I'd take that. I think Metroid, if they were going to do a Metroid movie, Pixar would probably make a better CG movie than live action. Live action doesn't have a very good history. Live action, they'd probably cast Rey from Star Wars as Samus, and I don't want to see that Mary Sue-ish, flawless, skilled at everything bitch. I don't want to see her in anything else. Again, I haven't seen that movie, but that's what I hear. That's what I keep hearing from everybody whose opinions I trust. Don't want to see Rey as Samus at all. Vanessa Carlton or Michelle Branch might make a good Samus. She could handle all the singing. Whenever Samus breaks out after slaying Ridley or Mother Brain, she breaks out into song, plays the guitar at the end of the film, undresses, unmasks the helmet that she wears, and sings a song about her triumph. Yeah, I could see that working well. Vanessa Carlton, Michelle Branch, either one of those would make good choices. I don't know. I would like to see it. Pixar should do it, but I'm not really sure. We don't have a whole lot of legit tough women working in movies today, mostly because our action movies themselves, male or female, tend to be jokey. I like The Rock. I love Jason Statham, but they're both used poorly in those god-awful, laughable, over-the-top fast films. So I don't know who'd be good. Vanessa Carlton or Michelle Branch would be my suggestion. Maybe Sarah McLachlan could play a good voice, Mother Brain. That might work. The barber asks, favorite video game to masturbate to? Recently, Street Fighter V, Rainbow Mika, the Japanese yet blonde, giant-breasted wrestler character. Big tails, ridiculously big boobs. I love her quite a bit. Was delighted that they finally brought her back. She was introduced in Street Fighter Alpha 3 many moons ago. They've only just now brought her back, I think, for the first time. I was delighted about that. Love the breasts, love the ass. Yeah, the censorship is pretty stupid and everything, but, we live in an SJW world, so that's going to happen every now and again. But yeah, I've popped a few off to Rainbow Mika in Street Fighter V. On YouTube, there's actually a delightful mod that actually makes her already ridiculously large bosom even bigger. I'm a fan of that mod. I don't own the game at all yet. I'm waiting for the final complete edition of that. But I'd like to get it on PC. I don't have a gaming quality PC. I just have a PS4. But I would love to install the mod that makes her even bustier than she already is. Let's see what else. The barber then asks, what did you go to court for, and did you arrange a plea bargain? Well, I've been to court so many times as of late, it's hard to tell what specific court appearance you're talking about, but I've beaten all the raps. I'm still a free man as of right now. See, then Hagson asks, monkeys? Yeah, monkeys, yes. Raiders, no. I like the cold. I like a cold weather. Wouldn't mind living in a nice cabin up in Alaska, Solid Snake, before he's recruited back into Foxhound to deal with all the crazy shit his brothers are getting up into. Spaceships. Yeah, I like spaceships. Spaceships are cool. Burps, a little too lowbrow for me. I like to think of myself as a high-class gentleman. Belching contests are just kind of beneath a man of my sophistication, I think. Alright, we're just under 20 minutes now, so that'll wrap up part 2. Hope to see you again in part 3. Can you see my fingers? It's very dark. So long.